On a quiet summer night in a small American town, while porch lights flickered out and screen doors creaked shut, someone moved silently through the dark with an axe in hand. By sunrise, an entire family and two young house guests would be found bludgeoned in their beds. No gunshots, no screams heard, no clear motive, and more than a century later, no one has ever been convicted. This is the story of the Villisca axe murders, one of the most haunting unsolved crimes in American history. It was June 9, 1912, in the small railroad town of Villisca. At the time, Villisca was home to about 2,500 people. It was the kind of place where everyone knew their neighbors, where children played freely in the streets, and where front doors were often left unlocked. Life revolved around church, family, and hard work. No one could have imagined that this peaceful town would soon become synonymous with one of the most brutal mass murders in the country. The Moore family was well known in the community. Josiah Moore, 43 years old, was a respected businessman who worked for the local farm implement company. His wife, Sarah Moore, was described as kind and devoted to her family. Together, they had 4 children, 11-year-old Herman Moore, 10-year-old Mary Catherine Moore, 7-year-old Arthur Moore, and 5-year-old Paul Moore. On the night of June 9th, they also had 2 young guests staying over, sisters Lena Stillinger, age 12, and Ina Stillinger, age 8. The Stillinger girls had attended church with the Moore family that evening and were excited for a sleepover. That Sunday night had been ordinary. The Moore family attended the Children's Day program at their Presbyterian church. The town was alive with music, recitations, and celebration. Afterward, the Moores and the Stillinger sisters returned to the modest white house on East 2nd Street. Neighbors later said nothing seemed unusual. The children were laughing, lamps were glowing inside. By all accounts, it was a peaceful end to a wholesome day. Sometime after midnight, everything changed. Investigators believe the killer entered the house late at night, possibly while the family was still awake. There were no signs of forced entry, suggesting the doors may have been unlocked. The murderer likely hid inside the house, perhaps in the attic, waiting for the family to fall asleep. What happened next was calculated and horrifying. The killer began in the master bedroom where Josiah and Sarah Moore were sleeping. Using Josiah's own axe, taken from the family's shed, the murderer struck first at Josiah, delivering crushing blows to his head. The force was so severe that it caved in his skull. Sarah was killed next in the same brutal fashion. The killer then moved upstairs, where the 4 more children slept in 2 separate rooms. One by one, each child was bludgeoned to death in their beds. Then, in the downstairs guest room, Lena and Ina Stillinger were murdered as well. Evidence later suggested that Lena may have awakened during the attack. Her body showed signs that she may have struggled or even seen the killer before she was struck. It's believed she was assaulted before being killed, adding another disturbing layer to the crime. But the horror didn't stop there. After murdering all 8 victims, the killer didn't flee immediately. Instead, he lingered in the house. Investigators discovered that mirrors had been covered with clothing, and windows were draped with sheets. A slab of bacon was removed from the icebox and left on the living room table, along with a bowl of bloody water. The axe had been wiped clean and placed back in the downstairs bedroom. These bizarre details have baffled investigators for more than a century. The bodies weren't discovered until the following morning, June 10th. When the Moore family failed to appear for their daily routines, neighbors grew concerned. Eventually, a neighbor entered the house and made the horrifying discovery. Word spread quickly. Within hours, the quiet streets of Villisca were overwhelmed with townspeople, reporters, and law enforcement. Tragically, in the chaos, the crime scene was contaminated. Curious onlookers walked through the house. Potential evidence was handled, moved, and destroyed. The investigation that followed was riddled with missteps, accusations, and sensational theories. Early suspicion fell on a local man named Frank F. Jones, a prominent businessman and Iowa state senator who had previously employed Josiah Moore. Some speculated there had been business disputes between the two men. Others whispered about alleged affairs and personal grudges. However, no solid evidence ever tied Jones directly to the crime. Another suspect who gained national attention was William Mansfield, a man believed to be connected to a string of similar axe murders across the Midwest. At the same time, entire families were being slaughtered in their beds in states like Illinois, Kansas, and Colorado. The crimes shared eerie similarities: attacks occurring late at night, use of an axe found at the scene, covered mirrors, and victims bludgeoned while asleep. Some investigators theorized that Villisca may have been part of a larger pattern, possibly the work of a transient serial killer traveling by rail. Then there was Henry Lee Moore, another drifter with a violent past. Despite the shared last name, he was not related to the Moore family. He was later convicted of murdering his own mother and grandmother with an axe in 1913. Authorities considered whether he could be responsible for Villisca as well, but again, nothing definitive was proven. One of the most controversial figures in the investigation was George Kelly, a traveling preacher with a history of mental instability. Kelly had been in Villisca around the time of the murders and reportedly displayed strange behavior. Eventually, he confessed to the crime, but his confession was riddled with inconsistencies and believed to be coerced. Kelly later recanted, and though he was tried twice, juries failed to convict him. He was ultimately released. As years passed, the case grew colder. Witnesses died, evidence deteriorated, theories multiplied. Some believed the killer had blended back into the town, hiding in plain sight. Others believed he hopped a train and vanished into the vast American landscape, possibly killing again. The Villisca axe murders struck at the heart of America's sense of safety during the early 20th century. This was an era before 24-hour news cycles, before advanced forensic science, before fingerprint databases and DNA testing. The idea that someone could slip into a home at night and wipe out an entire family without being caught shook communities across the nation. It forced Americans to confront a terrifying reality. Evil could arrive silently, without warning, even in the safest of towns. Today, the Moore House still stands in Villisca, restored to its 1912 appearance. Known as the Villisca Axe Murder House, it operates as a historic site and offers overnight stays for those brave enough to experience it. Visitors report strange sounds, unexplained movements, and an overwhelming sense of unease. Whether one believes in ghosts or not, the weight of what happened there is undeniable. More than 100 years later, the Villisca axe murders remain officially unsolved. No arrests, no convictions, just 8 victims whose lives were violently cut short in a crime that continues to fascinate and horrify. The story endures not only because of its brutality, but because of its mystery. Who was the killer? A jealous rival? A deranged drifter? A serial murderer moving along America's railways? Or someone far closer to home? In the end, Villisca became a symbol, a reminder that even the most peaceful places can harbor unimaginable darkness. And somewhere in the shadows of history, the truth still waits, buried beneath layers of suspicion, rumor, and time. If you found this story compelling, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more deep dives into America's most chilling unsolved mysteries. Because sometimes the past isn't just history, it's still whispering.